You don't hear it now? Well, we're officially live. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I hear it on my computer, not on my headphones.
Oh, well, as long as it doesn't screw up the audio, you're good. Okay. What? Now you muted yourself. You're creating all kinds of havoc now that the show started.
Okay.
You had it and you lost it.
Fine.
Okay, that's a little better. Okay. What's up, everybody? Augustus, good morning. Wow, nice early comment from Gus. Asymmetric ears, what's going on? So, real life of multiple affiliate owners here. I just learned, I guess I kind of knew this, but Dani kind of catches the brunt of this. After a holiday, specifically close to the first of the month, all hell breaks loose as a gym owner. It seems as though, if you're running payments on the first, they don't process until after the holidays. So you're waiting for certain money to hit your account. You can't pay certain bills. You can't call certain businesses. It's basically small business hell at the first of the month. Then when they add a holiday to it, it just creates that first day back, which is today, like a laundry list a mile long. We've already been going at it. It's 9 a.m. in Hawaii. We've been going at it for about 3 hours already. You making any progress in your list today?
No. People are annoying, though.
And then you get the annoying people who want to blast a million emails and ask questions. Good afternoon, Paul. How are you? What'd you say?
Every day.
Every day. Gus, I'm here for Seth, but I guess if I get Dani as well, I won't complain.
I've been told that I'm the star of the show.
One fan for me.
I've been told I'm the star of the show. That's why Seth doesn't let me come on a lot, because he knows I'm going to take over the show.
I wish you would. That would be awesome. Okay, well, today's topic is going to be pretty straightforward. We'll probably spin off into a million other things, but the main point, we had a couple people ask this last week when we did our stream. If you're going to start, or if you're going to, you want to have a CrossFit gym of your own, what's the best way to go about it? Do you buy an existing CrossFit gym? And obviously that's a huge range of years in operation. You can buy gyms that are over 10 years old. You can buy gyms that are just started and the guy doesn't like what he's doing and bailed on it. So that's kind of a bigger topic, but you could also start a new one. And I think there's some pros and cons to both. And we have done both multiple times now. And to be honest, I don't know if there's clearly not a correct answer to it. It's just how you kind of play your cards. But okay, Dani, if you were going to give someone advice, they come up to you and they say, I can't wait. I just got my L2. I'm getting my own CrossFit gym. How do I start? What's your initial response?
Say, run, don't do it. That'd be my first advice. Second advice,
wait. You have to talk about whether you're joking or not on these things, because some people are going to take you for face value. So you're going to talk people out of owning a CrossFit gym.
I think it is. I think people think that it's so just easy. I think people think it's so easy, and that's why there's so many affiliates, and that's why so many close down, and that's why there's so many gym sales, because people just go, oh, it's just so easy to open a gym. When I open one, all these people are going to come to my gym, and it's like, no. So I think
there's some misconceptions.
If you're not going to be, it has to be treated as a business if you want it to operate. And I think, 70% of the CrossFit gyms are not operated like a business. I've been in and out of hundreds of them, and I don't know.
So you think well more than half of the CrossFit gyms in operation, let's just say there's over 10,000.
Maybe half. Maybe probably half. That's a hard just thinking about like the gyms that we've been around, or just like in cities we've lived in or whatever, I'd say at least half, it's not people's full-time job.
Right.
Or the owners are not full-time, or there's no full-time staff, because they're more just like hobby gyms is what I think a lot of people do.
So if someone was going to start a gym, before we get into the buy or start from scratch, you would try to emphasize that they need to kind of go all in and make it their full-time gig if they want to be successful, or else don't do it. Is that kind of your messaging right here?
Well, I guess it depends on what your goal is, right? So if you just want to have a gym that's just a hobby and maybe it squeaks by, maybe you have to put money into it every month, then yeah, sure, go whatever. Then it doesn't matter, right? But if you think it's going to actually be a career from you, having a level 2 does not put you in a position to negotiate a lease, and do actual business side things, and budget correctly. What does the level 2 do for you for that? I didn't even know you needed a level 2 now, but whatever.
No, I know there are third-party companies that will help try to guide you, make good business decisions, help teach you how to do things, but there's no guidance from CrossFit HQ, nor do I think that there should be. I think that's a whole separate thing of actually running a business versus being able to teach fitness. Justin's asking, corporate job or owning an affiliate? What would you choose?
Geez, well, owning affiliate gives us a lot of flexibility, which is great. But there's been plenty of times that I've said to Seth, I'm like, dang, wouldn't it be nice to just sit at a cubicle and play on our phones all day and get a paycheck every 2 weeks like everybody else? I'm like, that would be kind of nice. And like go home at 5 o'clock and like not work. Like I work 20 hours a day.
Yeah, we both don't get to turn the work brain off. It never turns off. Even when we try to set like time aside for ourselves or go on a trip, like even if we're trying to plan a trip to do something fun for ourselves, the whole time we're there, we get up and we're both like, okay, what can we squeeze in the first 2 hours of the day for work? Like what can we answer? Oh, what fire are we putting out?
Even if we go to dinner, we're like strategizing like our next like business move.
Yeah. So it's a 24/7 like brain activity for sure. And so having that corporate job would give you the ability in most circumstances, I think, to turn the work brain off and just be like, not my problem, not my hours of operation. But you don't get that when you own your own business, especially when you own about 8 of your own businesses, as we do. You don't get that for even a second. All right, there's a lot of good questions already. Yeah. My greatest fear, Jeffrey says, not having any clientele. Yep, that would suck to open a beautiful gym and have no one walk through the door.
Go back to Seth's. Click that question again.
Which one?
Whatever.
Corporate or affiliate? This one?
No, the other one. The next one. I can't see this. That right there is why I know we haven't gotten into it yet, but like I would encourage anybody at this point with how like CrossFit and everything is to not open your own. I would say go buy one. Obviously, there's like many factors that go into play with like buying it and then valuing it and whatever. But at least generally speaking, an established business already has some money coming in versus you go open your own gym. You're going to spend, $60,000 to $100,000 to get it open.
Minimum.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It depends on where you are, size, all these things. Again, a lot of factors, but generally when we've opened gyms, I've paid between 60 and 100K to get them open. And then, yeah, you might have 0 customers when you open. So versus you go buy a gym, even if there's, 30 members or whatever, you're pulling in a couple $1,000s a month, which I think is better than 0, obviously.
Yeah. The other thing when you're opening the gym where you have no members and you're opening this new beautiful gym, you may have a group of people that leaves another gym and comes to you because you're looking for something else. But that group may also already have their own kind of like culture and clique baked into who's coming over. So now if your goal is to start your own culture, your business, you're still getting this like secondhand experience from people who have been at another gym that have left and are bringing it there and have certain expectations that you may or may not meet. And so that definitely just, adds another wrinkle. And we had that challenge when we opened our first gym in Hawaii. Like everyone had CrossFit experience that was coming to our gym. They were from a bunch of multiple different gyms that were kind of closed down because of COVID. And so when we came in, we kind of adopted all these different cultures, and it took us a long time to get people on the same page of what we wanted the place to be, how we wanted the coaching and programming and all that to go. So it took a while. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. Corey's late, but he said, has Dani fussed at Seth for anything random yet? No, she's not. Well, she's already been mad at me all morning, but not on the stream.
Before we started, yeah, I was right before you clicked start. He was saying my headphones weren't working, but his microphone wasn't working.
Yeah, that probably happened. Unconfirmed, but that may have been the case. Okay, so back to the main point here. Back to the question. So you're kind of saying in the current atmosphere with, I'm just putting words in your mouth here, with the saturation of CrossFit gyms that are currently in existence, the current state of CrossFit as a brand, everything all in, it's better or easier to maybe buy an existing gym, even if it's potentially having financial issues or maybe it's flourishing. Obviously, depending on that will be different in what the valuation is on the business, but you still prefer, how many times out of 10 would you buy a business or buy a gym before starting one?
9 out of 10 at this point.
Okay. So you're pretty
at this point, I don't, again, unless you have some very specific area that's, highly populated, that there's not another gym, another CrossFit within 15 minutes drive in either direction, then okay, maybe you found a spot. But like, it's just the thought of, oh, I'm going to open a CrossFit and all these people are going to come is such a really bad mentality, and it just doesn't work like that. So and I also think again, at this point, you can find a lot of gym owners who, they went through the COVID thing. They're like treating their gyms kind of as a hobby. Like,
yeah,
a lot of these gyms have been open 7, 8, 9, 10 years at this point. Like, people just kind of just ready for a change, and they just want to kind of move on from it. So I think there's a lot of those opportunities out there. We've found a bunch of them. So but I'm always,
would you take the risk and open a gym if you found like a gap in the market, like you were living in a place where there wasn't a CrossFit gym for 50 miles in either direction? Would you take a chance then, or would you be like, no, it's probably not a gym here for good reason because it's not going to be successful?
That's kind of what happened in Lahaina. Like, the fire situation there, like, closed the only affiliate that was on that side of the island, so we opened up our own there. But like, that's a very weird circumstance. Otherwise, I personally would not. I would probably, I don't want to say never, because I always say never and then I do it anyway, but I don't think I could ever see myself opening up a gym from scratch. It's just so risky. It's so expensive. And it's like, yeah, it's just so easy, I feel like, to like reach out to a bunch of gyms and just see who's selling. That's how I've found all the gyms we own now. I've emailed 50 affiliate owners in the neighborhood of where we wanted to have a gym, and just waited to see who was kind of ready to sell.
Well, out of our 5 gyms we have now, 2 are sort of from scratch. I know both are unique circumstances. One is a new post-COVID gym, and then one is post-fires in Lahaina. So that was unique circumstances on those. And the other is we've all, purchased essentially.
The Kailua gym was not even real. I mean, technically it was started from scratch, but it was created because 2 gyms nearby were not reopening after COVID. Right. We wouldn't have put that gym there if those gyms were reopening.
That's true. We'd be right next door to one of them.
Right. So that's very specific. So again, technically, yes, from scratch, but we had arrangements with the gym owners who were no longer opening at that point, that like we were going to acquire their equipment, their members. We were going to take the lease of one of them, but it just didn't make sense with the Hawaii, like, COVID ruled things.
Now, I want to circle back around to leases here with you in a second when it comes to buying a business. But James has asked a good question, and this is like a really, we could talk about this for I don't know how many days straight. How hard is it to undo things that a gym you purchased has been doing for years? And can you give us some examples? So like things I would throw out the top of my head. Just rebranding, changing programming, changing the coaching style, changing policies, changing membership prices. There's a million things that are going to go into play when you buy a new business to structure it the way you want it. And you're going to feel pushback from all those. If you want to elaborate on any of that.
That's always a challenge. I think what we have done anytime we've like bought into a gym is we become like, we have 5 gyms now, so we can't be at all of them every day, right? One of them's on a different island and one of them is in Arizona. So we physically cannot be in all these places at once, and primarily spend most of our time between just like 2 of the locations. With that, like, geez, that's such a loaded question. I don't even know, like, that's like, it's horrible. Like, I think the first couple of weeks, months are horrible because you're just like tiptoeing and walking on eggshells and don't want to upset people. And, especially if like the previous ownership, like if they have a lot of, kind of pride in their brand and stuff, we now have to make them buy into us. So those first couple of weeks, months, like, we're in there as much as we possibly can be, just trying to, like, I feel like we're sometimes looked at as like the bad guys when it's like we did nothing wrong. Like, the business was for sale. All we did was, buy it. But I think it kind of rubs people the wrong way.
The biggest challenge, I think, for me, it's not hard to rebrand stuff. It's not hard to come up with the policies you want to use. The biggest challenge to me is navigating the personalities within the gym, because there will be a ton of outspoken people who want to have a side conversation with you and tell you this story about this member and tell you how they don't like this coach and tell you what the last owner did to them and on and on and on. They're gonna not talk about most of the positive things or things that they think would be helpful. They want to like spew the dirt because they've been holding it in for who knows how long at their affiliate, and they think you're there to save them from it. And in a lot of ways, maybe you will, but
the other side too is where
yeah,
they don't want to even welcome you. Like we've had people who don't even want to welcome you to the community when it's like, you've never met us, you don't know us, like, we just maybe like don't look the way that, like, I don't know, like it could be just like anything so stupid. So that's that's very tricky. And I think what we always have done too is we try to not make any changes quickly. We always try to just like go in and just like, start to get the coaches on our side, start to get the members on our side, and then, start to implement some of these changes. So like even with like programming and stuff, we like left it for a little while at some of the gyms, like not even using our own company just to like make people comfortable.
I will say it does seem, though, that when we do start making changes to get more in line with the way we want the gym to run, we do make several of them quickly. And I think we probably do it because if you do one change and you're like, oh, let's see how everyone reacts to it, you're going to hear the negativity of any change. It's just human nature. And then you wait, and then it kind of settles down, and then you do the next one, and you just keep restirring the pot. Whereas if you're going to make some changes, you're like, okay, let's make decisions now, and let's implement A, B, C, D, E, and F all at once. People are going to still give you their negative feedback on the things they don't like, though most will probably still stay with you. But then you're through all your change in one course, and then people just kind of get used to the new normal more quickly. But if you make changes incrementally across a while, you're just going to keep stirring up shit, which I think is why once we do move on something, we move fast. Agree, disagree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to some of these comments here. Asymmetric ears. Do you kick out toxic members? That's tricky.
I'm trying to think. We've like only actually like this has like been 10 years of gym ownership. We've only asked one person to leave recently, which they like half declined, but then ended up leaving anyway. And is that it?
We haven't had to forcefully kick anybody out, but I have had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations with people, and then kind of give them ultimatums on certain things. And most people may be reluctant, but if they want to really stick around because they like working out with their friends there, they're comfortable with their gym, most people will come around. But there's certainly a time and a place to show someone the door. We just probably have been fortunate we haven't had to do it a ton.
I'm not opposed to that though, but like there's always like ripple effect. So I think, you just got to be careful. But yeah, the one person that we had sort of like basically had to sort of ask to leave as we were doing like a pricing increase, and they were like expressing to every person like, just how like evil that was and like how sneaky it was. Like, I don't even know, just all this stuff. And even after we said, hey, if you like, you don't like it, whatever, you don't have, we can cancel you, like whatever. And they were like, no, I'll stay, but I'm going to keep talking shit. So that was kind of a weird situation.
Yeah. Jeffrey Birchfield, what about working out but not paying? Do you mean like members sneaking in, or?
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Clarify that, Jeffrey.
Delete that comment, because I'll go insane. Nothing
Danny
makes
is
me
very
more mad than that.
Danny's very like, what's fair is fair. And so Danny's, in my opinion, she's a really good business person because she creates policies and she sticks to policies. Sometimes people strongly disagree with her rules, but she is pretty firm about playing it fair with everybody. And so she'll get into certain battles with people because people don't like a simple 2-week cancellation policy, or they don't like this, or I was gone for half the month, can't you refund me? Like, they just make things up that they want. And when we don't give it to them, she puts the hammer down. And drop-ins are one of those things where, especially in Hawaii, drop-ins are tricky because
a whole live stream of why I hate drop-ins.
Drop-ins are time consuming because they want to ask you a million questions. They want, what's the workout? When they just want to send emails back and forth, like they're time consuming. We have everything automated, but people still just want to ask questions. They want to come in and take space at your busiest class. They have varying, to say the least, varying experience when it comes to CrossFit, to the point where some have come in clearly lying about ever been to a CrossFit gym before and coming in. Some try to sign up as a free trial, because we offer free trials to people that are on island, people that live here that were considering joining the gym. So they try to sneak in as free trials instead of paying their drop-in fee. I mean, there's just endless issues that drop-ins cause for very little return of value to the business itself. And I know a lot of
drop-in complaint. If you're a dropper-inner, please stop asking people what the workout is. Like, I'm just like, I can't, like, the amount of times that I get that, oh, what's the WOD? And it's like, they go, so I know what gear to bring. I'm like, you're on vacation for one day. You're going to pay me $20 or you're going to sneak in for free. Like, just bring all of your gear, or just come do the workout. Like, I just like, I feel like it's so, the amount of time that I'll spend like emailing back and forth with one single drop-in for one day, who then may or may not even end up coming.
Yeah, they don't show up half the time.
Just go with just come do the workout. Like it's okay. If you forgot your knee sleeves, maybe you're doing a power clean instead of a squat clean. Like, you'll be okay.
Ugh. Yeah, we have it very easy to pre-register online. You can pay online. You can sign your waiver online. You're good to go. You show up, your name's in the app for the coach. Like, you just fit right into class and go. But people just don't want to make it that simple. And even other, we've had some even affiliate owners where I'm like, that's how you act? Like, that's weird to me. That's like, we should be on the same page, and we're not. Okay, you got a lot of people on your team. Gus hates drop-ins.
Our Kailua gym, we don't allow drop-ins. And we just recently started allowing a week drop-in only. I think it's like $100 for an unlimited week. The reason for that is they get access to Wodify, they can see the WOD, and most importantly, they can reserve their class times because it's a very small gym. So we just started allowing a week. People will still, and this is like posted all over the website. You click drop-in, it says, we only have a 1 week pass, like no single day drop-ins. They'll still just ignore that and either just show up to class, which, classes are very busy at that gym. They just show up to class, try to sneak in, try to like hide in the corner and not have to pay. Or they'll like email and be like, hey, I saw you don't allow drop-ins, but I would like to drop in. And I'm just like, what? Like, we're just like, or the other one is they'll like call the phone like 80 times in a row, and I'll text them and be like, hey, like, how can I help you? And they'll be like, hey, I saw that you only allow a 1 week drop-in, but I need a 1 day drop-in. I quit. Corporate job. Go back to that first question. Corporate job.
Yeah. People want the rules, policies bent for them. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It is weird to me to think that somebody would even ask for some very clear rules to be changed for their benefit on a vacation going to a foreign. It's really weird. But that's just how people are.
Because of obviously where we are in Hawaii. So we get a lot of drop-ins in.
Lots of vacation goers go there. So yeah, actually, but where our gyms are on the island, to be honest, the two that we had for a while now, they're not really in vacation hotspots. They're in spots that people may visit or drive through or whatever, but they're not like downtown Waikiki where 80% of tourism staying. There's some other gyms down there that do well with drop-ins. We don't bank on that drop-in revenue. We have local members that drive the gym, and so their priority number one, when a drop-in comes in and takes their spot in class, if class spaces are limited or just disrupts the flow or is taking all the attention from the coach, it's just never worth it. So I wouldn't care even if we were getting more drop-ins. It still wouldn't be worth alienating the members at the gym.
But our West Side gym is big enough, so yes, we always let people drop in over there because it's huge. We have plenty of equipment, plenty of space. That's totally fine. But like the Kailua gym, it's a very, very, very tight community. And then anytime somebody drops in, all the members complain to me that somebody dropped in. And I'm just like, guys, like, you can be friendly for 1 minute. And like, everyone's just mad. It's just not worth the money. Like, upsetting our regular member base. They all have like their spots where they're like, oh my God, you know who gets mad? All those 830 people. I can't say their names because they're probably
yeah. I got you. Yeah, our gyms are, like I said, they're very local based. They're residents. They're cliquey. They have their people they want to work out with.
They want their barbell they like. They want to be near the fan. Like, they all like have all these requirements. And then a drop-in will take it, and I never hear the end of it.
Yeah. I will say this though, as annoying as it can be to handle drop-ins, most people are super nice. Most people are really like great to meet them if you run into them. I will say it's not like everyone that comes and drops in is like some evil CrossFitter. Like most of them are super nice. They just don't understand your rules, and they just kind of want it their way a lot of times. But if you push back a little bit, they understand, and most people are pretty good about it. But I think the overall lesson here is the work that goes into getting them situated is usually not worth the time that we have to put into it. So that's the challenge we face. It's not them; it's usually the work that goes with it. Okay, so back to our main topic. I knew this was going to happen. We're just going to keep cruising off course. That's okay. So again, we're talking about purchasing a gym, not starting a gym unless there are some really unique circumstances at this point. When you're purchasing a gym, do you want to go into like a very rough idea of how you would value kind of a gym you're looking at to see if it makes sense to buy, and maybe what you would consider in terms of leases? Because a lease is probably the most important asset you'd be picking up with a purchase of the gym.
What? That is not an easy question. That is a question. And
all right, what do you want to talk about first?
I don't even know what you just said. I was reading something.
Oh, yeah. So it was an easy question. You're not paying attention. Okay. So do you have a simple way to value a gym, like off the top of your head? Like
simple? No.
Okay. Can I give my simple way?
No. Fine one.
Okay.
I bet you agree with your way, but go ahead.
I mean, we've bought enough businesses together that I think we're pretty much on the same page. But essentially, you want to look at the white meat, whatever the business is making, and that can be considered what the owner is taking home as well, even with or without their labor in a lot of cases. And you just find kind of a multiple that you're happy with, somewhere between probably 2 and 4x of that. And then you decide what the value of the assets are and if we want to add that into the business or not. So like, obviously there's a lot more details that go into it in terms of looking at their books, expenses. But after you find just a rough valuation and then looking at the lease, seeing what the lease costs each month versus the amount of sales you're doing or the income coming in each month. I feel like a lease has been the trickiest part for all of our purchases. I think negotiating a price has not ever been super contentious with anybody that for a business we're interested in, but the leases have always been the challenge. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple circumstances that there's been like shady business things going down that we've learned about later.
Talking about the previous owners of a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I think is tricky. I don't know. I probably can't say this, huh?
Well, you don't need to get into specifics, but we've had multiple occasions across our 11 gyms where the books don't exactly line up no matter how much you dig into them when you start to see what's happening. Like you do a pretty thorough dig through, even matching up bank statements, and there's still things that are miscategorized or numbers that
it's just
don't
really
end up making sense later on.
To hide stuff, to hide financials within a CrossFit gym. It's really easy because it's all just credit cards and you can't ever see like whose credit card is running. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because somebody could put their own money back into the business to bump up sales, which we've had happen in the past. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, being super diligent about the books, making sure that you're actually, if you're buying a gym that's supposedly profitable, actually figuring out what that profit is, and then deciding what you want to pay from there. But I think a lot of people these days, if they're buying gyms that are not doing well, and the ownership is not in a position, either time or financially, to put more into it. And so they're selling it at, I think you could probably buy them pretty cheap these days, if you're willing to put the work in to rebuild a gym in a community. Would you do that?
That gym I bought in California, he had it listed for $50,000 and I ended up paying $20,000 because he just was like, this is way too much work and like nothing was coming of it. And so I just like bought it super, like those things exist out there.
Oh yeah, you can buy. People are in a situation where they just have to get rid of it. Gus is a auditor, apparently. I think he's a CPA. So you guys get things audited prior to buying them. I mean, we look very closely at reports, bank statements, books, things like that. We try to match up as much as possible. And maybe a few times we've taken the word of some ownership when we shouldn't have, of certain things, just kind of chalked it up, because you're moving pretty fast through these deals. They don't go slow. Once you get things rolling, they start moving fast. And we just found some discrepancies later on that, were not in our favor, and wasn't the end of the world, but certainly would have changed probably the final purchase price had things been super crystal clear.
Someday when I retire, I'll tell you guys all the fucked up shit that's happened with names and everything.
Wow. That's going to be a long show. Jonathan Ortega. Yes, that is Mrs. Jump Ship. That's correct. That's my wife. Dani should get a corporate job at accounting firm doing some auditing. Could help avoid some of those mishaps in the future. She's actually pretty good at it. It's the fact that, I'm sure a professional could do a better job than we're doing, but yeah, people just, when you see X amount in credit card purchases through Amazon or whatever else, you don't know when people are funding their own personal life through the business, or if they're making business purchases or whatever it is. And it's hard to go back and see some of those things, and those things can add up among other expenses. So she does a pretty good job of auditing, but yeah, I don't think so. Okay. What do you pay your trainers or coaches? We actually do it differently depending on the business. So before we even get into what the pay is, if we even get into it, I don't know.
What?
I was just going to say, when you inherit a business, there's sometimes a structure in place. And so the coaches are used to being paid one way, compensated one way. And sometimes we just kind of take what they're happy with and mold it a little bit to keep everybody happy. But I don't know if you want to add on that.
Yeah, I think it completely depends on the gym, and then also within that depends on the coach. Like we have, it's completely depends. There's some people who do like coach just 2 classes a week, so we do very little trade for membership. I don't really like that, but if someone's like really just very limited on how many hours they can do, but like want to be a part of it, that's probably more of like a trade situation. Sometimes, even for those coaches who only coach like a little bit of like a very, very small amount of classes, they would pay a membership and then get paid for every class that they coach. And then that goes all the way up to, we have like, full-time people. So then they're getting like a salary. So it's complete range.
And we do understand there's different levels of coaches. Like some people are very interested in coaching. They have amazing personalities. Maybe they're about to get their level 1 or haven't got it yet, and you start working with them. I don't think the pay for them or the compensation for them needs to be the same as the coaches coming in, coaching, 15 classes a week with their L3, who's a big leader in the community. So there is always going to be a range, in each business in our situation, slightly different. So yeah, it's not a super clean scale for us to kind of chat about. Do we pay more than $10 per class? Yes, they're compensated well more than $10 per class.
I think the general thing for the coaches trainers pay, though, I think we found that like the most tricky one is when people who only coach like 2 or 3 classes a week or something like that. That's like the hardest one, because like you have, I don't think that they necessarily deserve to have the same situation as, again, the coach who's doing the 15 classes a week and also helping with cleaning and also helping like kind of do all the extra tasks that don't necessarily fall under the exact like 1 hour CrossFit class umbrella. So we've done like, again, those people like they'll pay their membership, because they'll also like the people I'm thinking of, they often like need coverage, need their schedules changed and like stuff like that. So like they would sometimes pay a membership and then just get paid for every hour instead of doing the trade. Just because when you have those trade memberships, those people who like need like either travel a lot or whatever, now you as the business owner are left scrambling to fill their hours all the time. So at least
you're essentially double paying. So that's the tricky part with a trade, right? Is like you're already prepaying them because they're not paying their membership that they would normally pay, and then they want coverage, and so they're already paid because they're not paying a membership, and now you're paying a coach to cover for them. So now you're double paying for classes when you're in that situation, and it's not a big deal once in a while, but if it ends up being a habit, it can become burdensome to some gyms. Yeah, that's about good for that, I think, for now. Jeffrey Birchfield, how much would you consider for buying equipment to outfit a gym? How much do you think that would cost? Obviously, it depends on the square footage of the gym, but
which I always say go way smaller than you want. That is, I think, the biggest mistake that like first time gym owners make, is they want this big giant like beautiful facility, which is obviously like awesome, but then you got to come up with a lot of people to get that thing like bumping. I think like start small, and then like, you know, most people are like, oh, we'll start small, and then once we have a bunch of members, we'll upgrade. No, start small and then raise your prices, and then just stay in your small gym. That's my business model of CrossFit.
I have to say, I totally agree with that. And that definitely wasn't my mindset when I first got into opening gyms. I always wanted to make this big, beautiful facility. But I would say, speaking in generalities, our smallest gym, or one of our smallest gyms, 1,250 square feet is the floor space in our Kailua location. It has the strongest community bond. It is the most profitable for us over expenses. We've been able to upgrade every piece of equipment over the past year and a half or so. There's so many benefits to keeping it small. And I think the biggest benefit, honestly, and maybe you can push back if you disagree, obviously the financial overhead being low makes it safer, but everybody being forced to work in close quarters and work together and do partner WODs more often and share space more often and be cordial to each other has just created now all these bonds within the gym that I think works as a retention tool that you don't get if you have this big gym where everybody has their own space, their own equipment, they're set up wherever they want. Like, when people can come and go from that because they're not missing anything. But when people are like bonded together with a certain experience each day, I think that's what keeps people coming back even more so than the workout. So that's my theory as to why the Kailua location is like just so secure and so like such a successful gym for us. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think also with all that, it makes it like so easy to run because everybody, like all the members care so much about the place. And then whenever you do get kind of like that, like bad egg member, they just kind of like weed themselves out because it's just not a good fit for them. So every single person that comes in is generally like a member, like referral. So everyone's like super close, and it just makes it's the easiest. That's the only gym that's extremely easy. Also, we don't allow drop-ins, so that kind of helps me. But it's just easy. And everyone always has a good time, and like the coaches are great. Like it's just easy.
And the Lahaina gym, which is brand new, only a handful of months old, that's also even smaller. It's 1,000 square feet. And the same thing's happening over there. The same bonds are being, I mean, a lot of them were past members at, the other gym. They're coming back together. But I think the same sort of like situations happening over there. And I think that's going to be a long-term success as well. Whereas, we have a gym now where we have a decent, go ahead.
That's what CrossFit is like supposed to be about. Like it's supposed to start like with community, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I'm all about like the super small gym, like make it super nice, keep it super clean. It's just like, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the gyms we have now, we've been having discussions like every year the rent goes up in it, and the membership base is about the same, and it's decent membership base, but the expenses continue to go up, rent and otherwise. And so you have to figure out, how long is something like this going to survive if nothing changes in the business? Whereas in the smaller locations, you have a lot more time to just keep your community going strong until you get priced out of anything. And that's what's happening to affiliates all over the world, is they're getting priced out of the lease, priced out of real estate. Because it's really hard to raise your rates, or it's really hard to justify in a lot of places $250 a month for a gym membership. And so it's becoming a real challenge as real estate prices go up. Okay, Jeffrey really wants an answer here. What was our initial investment on the equipment for Kailua? I want to say 20. Was it 40? Between new, and we bought some new and some used. Is that right?
Total was 40.
Okay, so $40,000.
That whole gym, from like nothing to opening, including like first and security of rent, like everything, we put $60K. That was it. That was the total, and we didn't have to put any more money into it ever. And that was like enough of a buffer for us to like have like initial operating costs available. So maybe spent like 50 to 55, I would say.
And we made it a solid 3 years and change before we had to start making, new equipment, big equipment purchases, upgrades, things like that.
That equipment was all, again, Hawaii. That equipment was all used. It's very hard, especially this was COVID. So it was very hard to get any new equipment here. There was also nothing available because of everyone was buying the gym equipment. So that was like a whole thing too. So, but yeah, we've now, this past year, we have upgraded, I think, every single thing in there.
Yeah, you can open a beautiful space between oops, wrong one, between 1,000 and 1,500 square feet for well under 100K. But now if you're starting to talk about, I found this 5,000 square foot spot, it's a great deal, we're going to outfit it with this, like even just thinking about how much flooring costs or how much, whatever upgrades you're going to do, you can easily get deep into 150, 200K just to open your gym between rent, like she said, all the initial expenses. So it can be a lot more expensive, but that's why we both sort of agree, whether you're buying or opening a gym, just start small and just let it do what it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm good with smaller square footage. You should be. It's the best. It's the best, honestly. Mike appreciates the new rowers. Yeah, we spent a lot of money. It was well deserved. The members are super loyal, super consistent with us. The business is doing well for a CrossFit gym, and so we put a lot of money back into it this last year. Gus, would you guys consider the new Echo rower since it appears to be a little cheaper? Ooh, what do you think about that?
Not interested. First of all, it looks ginormous, which space, I like the way that the Concept 2 park, they fit nicely. The wheels on the Echo rower look huge. Maybe I don't know. They look just weird.
I like big wheels, but my problem is not that the machine's probably not great, but I'm so used to the standard of just what it takes to row, the calorie, the meter. I'm just so comfortable on that exact machine. Like, you should be willing to try something out of your comfort zone, but I'm so comfortable in the C2 rower, I would never want to switch. Great question here from Judy. Do y'all charge a yearly equipment upgrade fee?
Dang, we should. No, we don't.
No, the answer is no, but there are projects that we want to work on around the gym, whether it's we just replaced the whole rig in there with this brand new beautiful monster rig on the Kailua gym this year. There are certain things that, if we have something that a bunch of people want, sometimes we'll host an in-house competition and put the money towards that. If we are going to raise rates, which we actually did in the Kailua gym slightly last or January of this year, right? We promised April, yeah. I can't remember. We promised to put a lot of that money back in from the rate increases this year, and we did. We put well more than that back into the place, knowing that rate increase would help future years keep the revenue where it needs to be. Okay. New C2 row. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Do you guys make justifications for price increase? I don't want to call it a justification, but I guess it is in some sense. I will go in when something's going to change, because I'm not always coaching at all the gyms. If something's going to change at a gym, I try to go in and talk to people and just give a quick explanation. And hey, if you guys have any questions about the changes that are happening, grab me after class. Happy to go in further detail with you. But I try not to air out every detail to everybody through a Facebook post or just this blanket announcement or email, because then it just creates more questions than it's worth. But certain people, no matter.
This gym too. We've had it for four. This is our fourth year, almost 4 years. This is our first rate increase we've ever done. So, everybody knows in the world that prices have gone up, rent has gone up, all of our utilities have gone up. So of course, nobody ever wants their gym membership to go up, even despite the fact that every other bill is going up. But that was sort of just the justification. So we didn't really get any pushback besides literally one person. So again, nobody's oh, great. Yeah, I would love to just give you more money. But it's hey, these costs just keep going up. And also at our Kailua gym, we cap membership. So we're always basically just right around capacity. It's not a unlimited. We would never have 150 members there, because we want to leave spots, equipment, and everything available to our solid membership base. So people also kind of understand that if they want this gym to stay really tight and small, and then prices are going to go up. But I was pretty happy that we made it 3.5 years without having to do any increase. And I think it went up $8 or $10 a month or something like that. So.
Yeah.
I think the next one, though, we're only going to bump it for new members, because I think it's time to do another one, but it would not be for our current membership base. It would only be for people coming in new at this point. So
grandfather the people that have been there. Yeah. Yeah, Gus, Augustus, just to clarify. Yeah, I do try to explain it a little bit without getting into the weeds. Because again, the more I explain, the more people are just like questioning or pushing back. So I just keep it real simple with them, very straightforward. And I'm pretty good at having like face-to-face conversations, especially if someone's like really uncomfortable with it after. And if they have, they're really want to push back, I'm happy to talk with them about it. And usually it all works out just fine. I think a lot of people who avoid conversations like that, like I want to avoid them, but I just can't. I end up with problems that just linger and linger. So we've been fortunate to kind of hit a lot of stuff head on and just, it's all worked out. I guess we'll wrap up here in a minute. Any last thoughts about, we'll just go right to the buying a gym thing. Any last advice on buying a gym you want to give people? Because we've kind of turned people off about starting a new one unless you have very specific circumstances.
Yeah, I think what we've just always done is kind of like, we've looked at just kind of the area that we're looking at, and we've just kind of started reaching out, having conversations with people. Hey, this is what we're looking to do. Are you interested in selling or whatever? And then that's just kind of the starting point. But it's just as much work as starting your own, like maybe not as much physical labor, but as far as like time and hours, it's just as difficult because you have to go win over your community and, still make a lot of changes and still make a sizable financial investment, both for the purchase and for whatever upgrades and rebranding. And you have to repay affiliation at that point. Like all of these things still have to happen. So it's not easier per se, but I think it's a smarter business decision at this point in time with 15,000 affiliates out there now? I don't even know. So many.
Way less. It's like 10 or 11,000. There's a lot dropping off.
Well, anyways, that's still a lot. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that. Just keeping in mind, there's a lot. There's not just the doing phase when you buy a gym. There's the undoing phase. And that is really hard. And it does take a little bit of time. And it's very stressful because you're going to go against some of the new community members that you're trying to win over, some of their wishes to make it work for yourself. So if you're good with if you feel like you're a strong leader and you can make those changes and still give the community that you're kind of inheriting what they need, you'll be plenty successful. But if you buy a business, you go in there and you let the community dictate what you're going to do, you're going to fall into the same problems the previous ownership had, which is why they're selling to begin with, and you will not be successful. So I think it's a little easier, even though there's more manual labor, to start a new gym because you get to just dictate things from day one. But if you don't have enough capital to float the bills for 6 months, that's super risky at this point. So definitely pros and cons. Probably buy a small gym and then see if you can rebrand it, give it a spit shine and get it up and running, and then build. And that would be my suggestion. Cool. All right. I have a show coming up later this week. We're going to talk about the 100 points test. If you've been with Jump Ship for a few years, we've done it 2 times before, starting back in 2022. 100 points test is a week-long test week that covers a lot of like basic benchmarks, a lot of basic lifts. And by the end of it, you have a score between 0 and 100 based on how well you perform. And it's kind of a fun tool, and we're doing slight upgrades to it this year. So I'm gonna do a whole show talking about the tests themselves and how the scoring works for people who want to participate. It's everyone gets very excited for that. Anything you want to add before we close up?
Nope.
Okay. We will see you guys later this week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.